you have ever been using substances, maybe alcohol or drugs, cannabis, cocaine, heroin, there's this feeling somebody gets just about before your state of mind moves from being normal into getting not being sober. The mental state, the mind state changes when the substance you are using has now hit your brain. You have this feeling like you are invincible, you are strong, you act like you're floating. This used to happen to me when I was drinking alcohol, and it's a state that you realize something is happening. Actually, you are changing. If you're sitting on these long bar stools, we call them sinatabu in Kenya. Sinatabu meaning I don't have a problem. When you're sitting on that stool at that particular point, you may actually fall down because that feeling that you are floating on air is so real that you would want to actually start walking or floating on air. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. It is your mind that is altered. You are now in a different world from the world that you are supposed to be. You are a different personality at that point, and that is very dangerous because I've always feared what happens if my state of mind remains that way. What happens if you can't revert to sobriety? If you get some sort of permanent head damage and then you remain perpetually drunk even when you are not drinking. And that is a fear that I always had. It was one of the reasons I fought very hard to overcome addiction to alcohol. Imagine you are in a state where you are sober but you are not sober. If you drink more alcohol, it doesn't actually make you look drunk, because even before you started drinking, you are actually already drunk. Your mind has permanently become drunk. It is like it is now saturated with alcohol on a long-term basis. Sometimes back in school, you used to be told if you smoke one puff of marijuana, it remains in your head for 7 years or something like that. I still don't understand what that actually meant. But if that was true, then very many people still have marijuana in their systems. Because if one puff were to be 7 years, then I don't know. But then that is what was said. Most people don't actually understand addiction and how it affects the mind, how it affects people. But that state, when you are transiting from a normal sober person, a normal human being, to an intoxicated person, it's mind altering, it's mind boggling. It makes you feel like you're in the seventh heaven. It makes you feel that nobody can harm you, nobody can tell you anything. You think you are the best in everything. It makes you reckless. It makes you not be able to say no, not to think clearly. And that is why you might find yourself in a room with a person of the opposite sex and you don't know how you got there. You don't even know how you met. You don't even know their name, and yet you are both naked. But you don't remember what happened, what transpired. I know of a person who actually got drunk, went to his house, cooked food, and even invited neighbors to share in his food. And then in the morning, he wakes up and goes around asking people, who cooked in my house? I don't remember eating. That is what blackouts do to people. They erase a part of your life. And with the many blackouts I've had in my life, there are episodes in my life, very many of them, that I can never explain what was happening, what I was doing. Most of these blank spaces were actually filled with people who saw me. These are the people who can tell me, you are saying this, you are doing this. But then there are other situations that I'd wake up and find myself in a bush, in a forest, in a place I have never been to. Then I can't figure out how I ended up getting there. And that is something that I probably might never know. That is what addiction to alcohol did to me over the years. But I'm thankful that I was able to overcome alcoholism. I'm thankful that despite the odds, I was able to push on. I was able to persevere. I was able to keep on trying, even if I failed and failed and failed again. Every time I relapsed, I got to learn from that relapse. I got to understand my triggers. I got to understand how to overcome my cravings. I got to figure out how to say no when I was offered alcohol. I tried moderation. I tried to control it, but that doesn't work for somebody who is an alcoholic. And the best way out is to overcome and to completely stop drinking. Well, it is always thought to be very hard to overcome drinking, but I can tell you this: it is possible to quit drinking. It is possible to stay sober. It is possible to thrive in sobriety. And once you're sober, clarity returns and you become the best version of yourself. Make it a point to overcome your addiction if alcohol is causing you problems, if alcohol is causing you financial difficulties, if alcohol is making your relationships to go wrong. Alcohol will mess up everything, but it will give you nothing in return, and you are better off not drinking alcohol. You are better off thriving in sobriety. The time is right now for you to overcome addiction to alcohol. Make the right choice. Make the right decisions and start your sobriety journey. Because if others can do it, you too can overcome your addiction.